The rapture is not an escape. It is a mission. What if the rapture has been misunderstood not because it is unclear, but because it is uncomfortable? What if it was never meant to be a spiritual exit sign, but a holy urgency that presses on our hearts every single day? I want you to think about this with me, because the way we understand the rapture will shape the way we live right now. For many, the rapture sounds like relief, an ending, a way out of pain, chaos, and responsibility. But Jesus never spoke about his return to encourage retreat. He spoke about it to awaken faithfulness. He didn't say, "Wait quietly until I come back." He said, "Occupy until I come." He didn't promise escape from the world. He promised purpose in it. The truth is, Jesus left us here on purpose. He saved us, filled us with his Spirit, and placed us in a broken world because we are meant to be light in darkness. The promise of his return was never meant to make us passive or distracted, but focused, bold, and awake. Every day we are still here is another day God is extending mercy to the world through us. So this message is not about fear or timelines. It's about calling. It's about responsibility. It's about realizing that until the moment Jesus calls us home, our lives carry eternal weight. If we truly believe he is coming soon, then now matters more than ever. The rapture is not an escape from the mission. It is the reason the mission matters so deeply. Part 1. Why the rapture was never meant to be an escape. From the beginning, God's plan for his people was never withdrawal from the world, but faithful presence within it. When Jesus walked the earth, he did not avoid broken places. He entered them. He did not isolate himself from sinners. He sought them out, and when he prepared to leave, he did not remove his followers with him. He sent them. That moment alone reshapes how we should view the rapture. If escape had been God's priority, the story would have ended at the ascension. Instead, Jesus entrusted his disciples with a mission and promised his return as motivation to remain faithful, not as permission to disengage. Jesus was honest about suffering. He warned his followers they would face hardship, rejection, and persecution. Yet, he never presented his return as a shortcut around obedience. He presented it as a reason to endure. Hope was meant to strengthen faith, not replace responsibility. The early church understood this. They lived under intense pressure, yet they did not wait passively for rescue. They preached boldly, loved sacrificially, and remained faithful even when it cost them their lives. They did not measure success by comfort, but by obedience. The expectation of Christ's return made them courageous, not careless. Scripture repeatedly ties the return of Jesus to accountability. Parables of servants, stewards, and workers all carry the same theme. The master will return, and what matters is how the servants lived in his absence. Not how well they predicted the timing, but how faithfully they carried out their assignment. An escape-focused mindset quietly shifts our priorities. It can make us impatient with suffering, disengaged from culture, and indifferent to those who are still lost. It can cause us to look up at the sky while ignoring the people right in front of us. But Jesus never called his followers to abandon the world. He called them to transform it. Jesus prayed that his disciples would not be taken out of the world, but protected within it. That prayer reveals the heart of God. We are here because we are needed. The light does not flee the darkness. It confronts it. The rapture does not cancel the Great Commission. It intensifies it. Every moment before his return is another opportunity to serve, to speak truth, to love boldly, and to live faithfully. Escape is not the goal. Faithfulness is. Part 2. Living with urgency, not passivity. When you truly believe Jesus could return at any moment, life becomes sharper, clearer, and more intentional. Urgency does not mean panic. It means purpose. It means understanding that time is a gift and opportunity is sacred. Jesus compared his return to a thief in the night, not to frighten us, but to keep us alert. Readiness is not standing still. Readiness is living faithfully with what we've been given. It is showing up every day with obedience, even when no one is watching. Urgency reshapes how we view ordinary moments. Conversations are no longer random. Work is no longer just a paycheck. Relationships are no longer accidents. Everything becomes a potential doorway for God's grace to reach someone else. Mission-minded believers do not wait for perfect conditions. They move in obedience now. They forgive quickly. They love intentionally. They speak truth with courage and compassion. They understand that delays can cost souls. Passive faith assumes there will always be more time. Urgent faith lives as though today matters, because it does. The early church lived this way. They didn't know the day or hour, but they lived as if Jesus could come at any moment, and that awareness fueled generosity, courage, and unity. Urgency does not mean abandoning daily responsibilities. It means filling them with eternal purpose. A workplace becomes a mission field. A home becomes a place of discipleship. Suffering becomes a testimony. Waiting becomes worship. When believers adopt a passive mindset, faith becomes theoretical. But when urgency takes hold, faith becomes visible. It moves, it acts, it serves, it sacrifices. Ask yourself honestly, if Jesus returned today, would your life show that you lived on mission? Would there be evidence that you cared about what he cares about? That you used your time, gifts, and voice for something eternal? Living with urgency does not require perfection. It requires availability. A heart that says, "Here I am, Lord. Use me." Until he comes, we are called to live awake, engaged, and faithful, because every moment before his return still matters. Part 3. The Rapture as a call to holy responsibility. The promise of the rapture does not remove responsibility. It deepens it, knowing that Jesus will return and that every life will stand before him, should sober us, not soothe us into spiritual sleep. Scripture is clear. We will give an account, not just for what we believed, but for how we lived. Grace saves us, but stewardship reveals us. What we do with what Jesus has entrusted to us matters. Our time, our words, our influence, our compassion, all of it carries eternal significance. The expectation of his return invites us to examine whether our lives reflect his heart. Jesus spoke often about servants entrusted with responsibilities while the master was away. The faithful servant was not the one who talked about the master the most, but the one who did the master's will. The unfaithful servant assumed delay meant freedom. That assumption led to carelessness, neglect, and compromise. Holy responsibility means refusing to separate belief from behavior. It means understanding that faith is not just confession. It is submission. It is not just agreement. It is obedience. And obedience often costs comfort, convenience, and approval. The mission of Christ requires courage. It requires standing for truth in a culture that resists it. It requires loving people who misunderstand you. It requires choosing holiness when compromise is easier. The promise of the rapture gives us strength to endure, not permission to retreat. Responsibility also means spiritual vigilance. We are called to remain awake, discerning, and grounded in truth. False teachings flourish when believers become lazy in discernment. Hope becomes dangerous when it is detached from truth. Living responsibly in light of Christ's return means aligning our priorities with eternity. It means asking not just, "Is this allowed?" but, "Is this useful for God's purpose?" It means understanding that faithfulness in small things is preparation for greater trust. The rapture reminds us that this world is not our final home, but it is our current assignment. and assignments matter until they are complete. Part 4. Finishing the mission until the call comes. Until the moment Jesus returns, the mission remains unfinished. There are still hearts that have not heard his name. There are still lives bound by fear, shame, and confusion. And there are still believers called to shine in dark places. Finishing well does not mean doing everything. It means doing what God has called you to do with faithfulness. Not everyone will stand on a stage or travel the world, but everyone is sent. The mission is not reserved for the gifted. It belongs to the faithful. Jesus never told his followers to wait for the end. He told them to go into the world, make disciples, teach truth, and reflect his love. That command does not expire. The nearness of his return does not cancel it. It accelerates it. Faithfulness often looks ordinary. It looks like consistency, perseverance, prayer, and obedience when results are unseen. But heaven measures success differently than the world. Heaven celebrates obedience long before outcomes appear. As the world grows darker, the mission becomes clearer. Light shines brightest where darkness is deepest. The church was never meant to blend in. It was meant to stand out with love, truth, and grace. When the call finally comes, it will not interrupt the mission. It will complete it. And what a moment that will be. Not an escape from responsibility, but a joyful transition from assignment to reward. Until that day, we live sent. We love intentionally. We serve faithfully. We endure patiently. We speak truth boldly, because every breath before his return is still part of the mission. Jesus is coming, but until he does, the work remains, and you are part of it. Conclusion: living ready by living on mission. When we truly understand the rapture, it no longer becomes a reason to withdraw from the world, but a reason to engage it with deeper purpose. Jesus did not save us so we could sit still and wait. He saved us so we could be sent. Every day we remain here is not an accident, not a delay, and not a punishment. It is mercy in motion. The hope of Christ's return was never meant to lull the church to sleep. It was meant to awaken us, to remind us that time is limited, love is urgent, and obedience matters. The question is not whether Jesus is coming. He is. The question is whether we are living in a way that reflects that belief. Living ready does not mean living afraid. It means living faithful. It means carrying his heart into our homes, our workplaces, our conversations, and our decisions. It means loving people the way he loves us, even when it costs us something. One day, the mission will be complete. The call will come. And when it does, may we not be found hiding, distracted, or disengaged, but faithful, focused, and fully surrendered. The rapture is not an escape from the mission. It is the moment the mission is fulfilled. Until then, live ready by living on mission.